Just over a year from now, athletes will be descending upon Niagara for the 2022 Canada Summer Games. If you're like me, you might take a detour every now and then to check on the modern, impressive new Games Park facility as it takes shape just south of Brock University. We're going to talk to Doug Hamilton about the construction and about the plans for next summer. But before we do that, I'm welcoming him as our first guest on our new set. You're the first one to step in here and join me on this new set.
That's quite an honor.
Doug, let's talk about the construction. It looks fantastic. Are we on track?
Yeah, we're on track. We're actually a little bit ahead of schedule now. We were stretching to try to be ready for a games in 2021, which was going to happen next month. But with the pandemic and our postponement of the games for 1 year, we're now ahead of schedule, and we're really very pleased with our progress.
What's left to do in the next, well, I guess you want to have this done by the end of January, basically. What's left to do between now and then?
So the inside of there's a number of facilities at Canada Games Park. There's an athletics track that's already there. There's a beach volleyball facility that's already in place. But the inside of the Sports and Abilities Center has 2 rinks. We poured the rinks in the last month. There's a quadruple gym. We still have to lay down the hardwood floor in the quadruple gym. So there's a number of finishes and other sort of final steps that are necessary. We're hopeful they're done this fall and that the building will be available for community use in January.
Were there any delays because of difficulty with construction crews meeting pandemic requirements? Were there any budget overruns? We've all heard about how much lumber has been costing over the pandemic.
Yeah, so on your question of delays first, so a little over a year ago when the pandemic first came upon us, in March, the province had a shutdown order, emergency measures order for a month. The project stopped for a month. Since then it's been operating. There hasn't been any COVID issues with respect to the ongoing construction, so we've now made up time and are actually ahead of the original schedule, so that's gone very well. And then with respect to the budget issues, we're on budget. And so there have been additional costs for construction materials, but because we have a fixed price contract that was negotiated before all of this happened, we're actually still on budget.
You've begun at Henley Island as well, so construction has started there?
So yeah, we've got a number of projects that are happening. Our second biggest project is the new Henley Rowing Center. We started just before Christmas last year, and again, we're planning to get it done this year so that it'll be available for use by the rowing community in January.
And that's a big deal because you're really modernizing some facilities at Henley Island that have been really behind the times and creating some new things as well.
So the Henley Rowing Course is a jewel in international rowing. So I mean, if you're not a rower, you don't appreciate what we have here in St. Catharines. It's hosted World Championships. It hosts the Schoolboy Championships every year. It hosts the Canadian Henley Regatta every year, and it's still working off of facilities that were built a long time ago. So it doesn't have accessible change rooms. It doesn't have accessible washrooms. Doesn't have any facilities for the athletes to train off the water. And so this was an opportunity to bring in those types of facilities and really, you're right, modernize is the right word, that facility and make the off-water facilities commensurate with what's on the water in terms of the rowing course itself.
You've really made an attempt, the committee has made an attempt to involve as much of Niagara as possible with some of your sites. Where else is some of the action going to be seen?
So one of the things that's quite unique about the Canada Games is it's because it was started in '67 as part of our centennial celebration. It's both a celebration of sport and culture, and so we've put a real focus on the cultural celebration that will happen in a year, and that cultural celebration now is going to be even more important as we come out of this pandemic. And so we've started a program called 13 for 13, where each of the 13 provinces and territories that will be attending the Games are being partnered with each of our 13 municipalities, the 12 local municipalities and region. And during the night, a different day or a different evening during the Games for the full 2 weeks, we're going to have a cultural celebration in each of the communities. And it's going to be, I guess, a 2-week party, and we're really looking forward to that.
There's a little bit of a focus on Indigenous peoples as well with the Games, with Turtle Island taking focus.
Yep, so we focus both our mascot or our guardian of the Games on messaging, which is our Indigenous Partnership. We formed an Indigenous Partnership Council who are giving us some really great advice on things that we can do during the games. And so some of our 13 for 13 events will have a particular focus on Indigenous partnership, but we'll also have a focus on our Indigenous partnership at Canada Games Park during the 2 weeks of the games.
Source producer Mark Bennett was able to tour the Canada Games Park facility earlier this week, and he was very, very impressed by what he saw. What are some of the standouts in your mind?
So the building itself has been designed with some very novel features. It's got incredible light. The light's been fashioned in a way that it allows the performance spaces, the sport competition spaces to still occur, but have a lot of natural light coming in. But also the community features, the track itself. We've got a 200-meter indoor track that's then been prepared for use by our athletics community and runners, but also available for the community to walk. It's up on a level where there's windows on all sides. It's really actually an architectural jewel in terms of how it's been designed. But there's also a sustainability feature to the whole thing. We're planning a green roof that will be put on top of the facility, and a number of the heating and cooling measures that are in the facility, the energy consumption will be sort of new level in terms of design and something that we're quite proud of.
Just over 390 days away from the launch of the games, do you have enough volunteers, or is there still room for people to step up and volunteer their time?
There is. There's lots of room for volunteers. So for games like this, it's really a volunteer-driven event, and both in the planning as well as the actual delivery. So we've got about 400 planning volunteers that have been engaged now and are engaged and will be over the next few months. But this fall, we're going to start our recruitment of the games time delivery volunteers, and we're going to need somewhere close to 5,000 of those people. So this fall, we're going to have portals where we'll be looking for community members that aren't already planning volunteers to come in and help us for the 2 weeks of the delivery of the games. And so we're hoping people will sign up to be part of that huge team.
Well, it's exciting. August 6th, 2022 is when it kicks off. And again, the website is Niagara2022games.ca. Doug, thanks for sharing your time with us today.
Yes, thank you, Mike, and thank you for having me here.